Yeah.
90th birthday.
Oh, that's nice.
2 weeks.
Yeah, no, I think it's going to be smaller.
Yes, it is.
And they've got the best
43,000 smash
And,
burgers that are all made there.
It's going to, what I worry about there, to recoup some of the costs, the tickets are gonna go through the roof.
Well, too.
Like they aren't now.
They're good.
Well, I can still afford them barely.
Yeah.
Oh, Charlie,
I'm
that
figuring-
explains a lot. Wow.
You look at some of the price points for some of the other things. You can't beat it, especially.
Sunday I'm going to,
Just
my sister and I are going to Niles.
everything.
Pick up my
Oh, the Wayne Eagle thing?
Outrageously
No.
expensive.
Did you follow
My mom
Caitlin Clark?
had a friend.
I know it's
Vicky?
bad.
Iowa?
Oh, really?
She's a
Wait, I'm in
senior.
the middle of
Yeah,
a
$3 million
story
net worth on it.
Okay, we're gonna get started. Okay.
Sorry, thank you. Ready.
Okay, I'll call the meeting of the McHenry County Zoning Board of Appeals to order. This is for, I can see this really. Petition number 2023-048. It's for PIN number 16-14-200-005 and 16-14-200-006 and 1614-100-005 at 8302 South Illinois Route 23 in Marengo, Illinois. This is for the applicant is Unilock of Chicago, and the request is to amend a conditional use permit 2020-42 to allow additions to 2 buildings with a height variation to 56 feet for the main building. The 45.3 acres is located on the east side of Route 23, approximately 2,200 feet south of the intersection of South Illinois Route 23 and Pleasant Grove Road in West Coral Road in Riley Township. I'm gonna move this, I feel like it's in the way. Okay, so we are, the Zoning Board of Appeals. We'll give our introductions and we'll start with Mr. Jers.
Tom Jers, Coral Township.
Jessica Beverly, Door Township.
Kurt Schnabel, Riley Township.
I'm Vicki Gartner from Nunda Township.
Charlie Eldridge, Richmond Township.
Robert Cozen, Algonquin Township.
Mary Donner, Greenwood Township.
Okay, we're all from different townships, which is how this board has to be made. So at this point, I'd like to ask everybody to please silence their phones, and I will read the legals for this petition. This petition has been reviewed and the following items have been received prior to today's scheduled hearing. The publisher's certificate of publication from a newspaper is dated February 18th, 2024, and thereby meets the ordinance requirements. The affidavit of posting was signed and date posted was February 16th, 2024, and thereby meets the ordinance requirements. The affidavit of mailing was signed and dated and date mailed was February 8th, 2024, and thereby meets the ordinance requirements. Survey has been checked against the petition, legal notice, and publication in the newspaper, and all 3 match. The filing fees have been paid. The endangered species consultation was not required for this petition. The McHenry Soil and Water Conservation District report has been received. For further information, please refer to NRI number L20-060-4325. Okay. At this point, I will swear in the petitioners and the staff and anybody else who would like to speak during this hearing. Okay, so please raise your right hand.
Do yours just in case. Raise your hand just in case.
I swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. I do. Thank you. So today what we're going to do is we'll start with the testimony of the petitioner, and then the board will ask questions, and then the staff may have questions, additional questions, and then anybody in the public who has questions can ask them at this point. Then the staff will give their report on this petition, and if the board has any questions for the staff, then we'll ask those questions. And then after that, we'll take any comments from the public people in the audience if they have any comments. Then we'll take your closing statement, and then we'll close the hearing and move on to the voting meeting. Yeah. Thanks. Okay, so will the petitioner agree to waive the reading of the petition?
Yes.
Thank you, because it's long. Okay, so please introduce yourselves and go ahead and tell us what you'd like to do.
Steve Ackerlon, DDCA Architects, for answering any other questions.
John Swark, DDCA Architects.
John Russo, Unilock.
Okay.
And I can start, we'll just go through these slides if that's okay.
Great.
Before he gets started, it was noted that Steve here did not raise his hand for swearing in.
Oh,
So could you please attest that what you're going to say today is the truth?
The whole truth.
Thank you.
Thank you.
all right, so you guys are all hopefully familiar with the site. It's on 23 north of 90. It's a large existing facility that is a manufacturing plant for Unilock products. Unilock is a concrete paver product for sidewalks, retaining walls. And they're looking to, they're always continuously updating their products, what they make, how they manufacture it. So the two additions we want to do today are really enclosing the manufacturing process. The first one, which is about 3,500 square feet, there's a little U-shape cut out in the building in the back here. There's currently 55, 60-foot tanks out there. Good, perfect, yeah. This box right here. There's currently a couple of cement silos back there that are tall. Basically, they've got existing bins that store aggregates inside the building. They need to add more aggregate bins for different colors and mixes to do, and they need to keep those inside. And now that they're also are taller than the existing building, and it's really just to keep them warm. And part of that process then, as you see this red line, that's a conveyor that it goes into an in-ground hopper. So trucks drive over the hopper, drop their product. It goes up automatically up this incline belt into the bins, and it's all done year-round. Currently, there already is a pit back here, closer to the building, with a series of above-ground conveyors, kind of a mishmash of stuff. So that's really what that building is. And on this north building, they want to do about a 2,500-foot addition with a canopy. That'll be another secondary process. It's a single-story, 20-foot high, pretty low building. Maybe continue to the next slide, you can see what else you've got as you go through. I'll explain the process a little bit more. It's just blown up, that's okay. Yeah, keep going, please. Past that. Should be some more drawings.
These are the ones that I
Oh,
put
pick
together.
to choose?
Yeah.
Okay, so basically, it's been through preliminary staff reviews. We plan to follow all of McHenry County stormwater management requirements. It's all being built over existing impervious. Along with this, I forgot to mention, they're adding some parking stalls in the front for a little additional parking. And if you read all the paperwork, they, over time, have covered up these parking stalls with equipment and stuff. That'll all be cleared up, and that'll be the parking that was there originally. The pavement's there is just that they took up the parking spaces with other stuff.
It's clear now.
It's all cleared up. Perfect. I think that's really it.
Excuse me, Madam Chair. Just as for the record, the gentleman who
Scott?
advised, no, who was he, just so he can state his name?
Yes, could you please state your name?
Oh, my name's John Russo, and I work for Unilock.
Okay.
But your remarks, sorry, Manager, his remarks.
That's
were just-
fine, yeah.
didn't mean to jump.
Because we're
And he's the senior plant
recording.
manager. Are you SSO?
Our USSO.
Okay, yeah, we're recording, so
Great.
it's good to state your name before you speak and, so.
And I'm John Swerk, SWIERK. Thanks.
And you, sir?
Steve Ackerlon,
Okay,
using Victor EACHERLON.
thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, So is that your?
Yeah, we'll address any questions that you might have on the project, definitely.
Okay. Well, we'll start down with the other way. Mr. Jers, do you have any questions?
Questions, no.
I have no questions.
I have a question, and it's probably guessing gonna be mostly in Mr. Russo's bailiwick, just so I can get a better understanding of your operation there. Obviously, on the other side of Route 23, you've got a concrete mixing plant. And they're drawing their own domestic water to manufacture cement, correct? Okay, fine. You've got your own private source of water at Unilock. Has that proven sufficient for you? Do you expect any increase in demand with this new?
No, because neither one of these require any additional water at all. They're good. The one addition is just storage bins. It's strictly just raw materials. And the other building requires no water for its process.
So there's no wastewater to be worried about, or recycling of water or anything like
No,
that?
no, sir.
Okay. Do you have any thinking down to the future? Do you have any potential thought Marengo's going to be running sewer and water past your building sometime in the next few years, it's alleged? Would you have any interest in joining on to something like that, or
Oh,
not?
sure, absolutely, yeah. It's much more dependable than the well.
Have you had any issues with your well?
We had to replace one, other than that, the pump.
I know we had a drought not long ago, and I imagine you're running on more than a 4-inch cased well. So,
And also the purity of the water.
yeah,
There's probably a big, large filtering system they go through.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
municipal water might be a little cleaner for them to use.
that's the only thing I was curious about, so thanks for illuminating me on that.
Thank you. Mr. Eldridge?
Yeah, just a couple of questions. My presumption is the reason you need an amendment to your conditional use is that the previous conditional use was based on a site plan that you were modifying by adding these buildings. Is that correct?
Correct. Unfortunately, most of the places where we have these plants, they're all conditional uses. So maybe, I'm not sure if it was on a board 2-3 years ago,
Yeah.
we had to come through for another conditional use for a small addition that was put on this north side right here.
Yes,
So unfortunately,
I sat on that.
Yeah, every little exterior piece of work.
Yeah, so it is conditioned on the, that's really the only reason you're before us.
Correct.
If,
And it's your guard, because if something wasn't properly being
yeah,
noise, light, air, this is your time to
and
give them a hard time.
the conveyor from the pit where the materials are dropped, is that an enclosed or an open conveyor?
It's a little of both. I'll have a
Yeah,
cover over it.
You need to identify yourself each
Yeah,
time you
state your
speak.
name.
Oh, each time I speak, I'm sorry. John Russo, Unilock. There is a cover that goes over it, but it's like a sheet metal cover that just keeps the weather off of it.
Okay, so basically a rain cover, not a complete enclosure.
Correct.
Okay. That's all I have.
Thank you. Mr. Kosa?
Thank you. The petition is signed by Robert S. Moser. What role does he have in the company?
He was project manager.
Yeah, new construction manager. He had another title. He's training. He's retiring.
Oh, so the information in here is accurate and you are correctly
Yes.
representing it
Correct.
for us?
That's what Bob was, correct.
And you again are John Sweattick
Correct.
as the architect
Yep.
in here. Just sorry.
Exactly. Yep,
paperwork
exactly.
issues.
Yep.
There is also part of the description talks about 8 new spaces for parking. Yet at the same time, the description says that there are no new additional employees created by either the variance or the conditional use. So what is the need for the 8 new spaces?
I think more of a convenience. So keep in mind, when that was written, these spaces are all covered up. Through the process, going through the county, like what happened to these spaces. So those are now opened up, but they would like the other spaces replaced here, not replaced, but added for the office, rather than having to park back here. So these will be left open for employees. There's no employee increase with the work we're doing.
Right.
Right. It's interior bin storage of the product. And then the north building is just a little larger secondary production area for the product that's finished. They do different finishes on it.
So it'd be fair to characterize them as a convenience for the existing employees?
Yes, exactly.
The other point of clarity is trying to understand the variance needed per the building height. And there is a description that the building height is existing at, and this may involve the staff, and so I look for any direction to get me through this ticket that I found myself in, is 35 feet, but there is a height limitation in the county ordinance. Yet one building is described as only 16 feet. So what is the height that you are increasing it to of the existing building?
The existing building, so the 16-foot one you're talking about?
Well, that's
It's probably this north small building that we're heading on to, that's gonna be short.
Yes.
And this front building, the office was probably about 16, but when you get back to the factory, which is most of this back area, it's about 35. And we're going to 52.6, I believe,
Right.
just to basically enclose the bins. And right next to it, I got a picture, I think, that shows the existing cement silos, they're actually taller.
So you're only asking a variance on one of the new additional
Correct.
buildings? And
This
that,
wasn't submitted, but I can show you a picture.
we already have that photo.
You have this one?
Yes, but
Oh,
if
okay.
you want to re-enter it or
No, that's fine. Okay.
identify
Good.
it. But that building as it presently exists conforms to the ordinance of.
It must have been part of the CUP when it was originally built in the 90s.
Okay.
Yeah, that back factory is from the 1990s.
And then the activity of the use, and if you're keeping track, you're almost reaching 50 years if you get to 2042. Any record of notices of complaint or violations relative to the regulatory agencies that
I'm not aware of
oversee
any.
No, nothing.
that?
John Russo.
And,
I'm sorry, John Russo, yes, we've had no complaints, no issues with our neighbors.
and nothing from the state with the traffic on 23 as you use the roadway?
No, nothing there either.
I've taken enough time, and thank you for it.
Thank you. Mary?
Okay, my apologies, I came in here a little late on knowing what's going on. I read it, I've seen it, but I do have a couple of questions. So, you removed the vehicles that were parked where? Is that where those parking spaces were, or did the parking spaces just get covered up with?
The parking spaces just got covered up with their product on pallets.
Well, that was wrong.
Right, exactly.
And you know that now, but, so they removed 2 pieces of equipment someplace.
Yeah, another note was there was some old equipment laying around. They thought
Okay.
it was new. It was just abandoned equipment that has since then been removed.
So it's removed off premises,
Off-site,
it's
yeah.
not
It was
there,
laying-
you
it was
don't
laying
use
over.
it, it's
It was laying
okay.
over here.
Okay. Then, is this? So, I'm not quite done. Here's another. Okay, and how many employees do you have working on the property?
Yeah, when we're, John Russo, when we're fully staffed, we're 24, 25 people.
Okay, and how many of those people are parking there during the day while they're working for you off-site? Any? I mean, why do you have all these parking spaces on the back that you've covered up with other stuff? Who would have been parking there before? Would that have been employees?
What's kind of odd about the site, keep in mind, this whole back is paved, right? So even when these are covered, the employees can park pretty much anywhere they designate to be parking. Because it's all paved, because it's all product storage, it's all Unilock pavers. So it just happens to be that this is where it was originally
Of
meant
course,
to be
I-
striped.
Yeah, okay.
You can park 1,000 cars there probably.
Right, I understand what you're saying, but we have
Right.
designated spots for
Yes.
one place, and now
Correct.
we're asking for additional spots on the front that weren't there to go into the office that customers would be coming in?
No, it's very few customers come here.
Okay, so those parking spots are there because we require them. We are requiring that in our conditional use, right? That's what we're saying. That we have to
What we
add
want-
those parking spaces.
We don't need them by employee count.
Oh, okay.
They are put it because Unilock wants to have them there,
Okay,
because they don't want these people parking back here.
that's too far to
They'd
go.
rather have them up here where they got entrance to the employees and to the office.
Okay, okay. I'm good. I think I'm ready. Storm additional parking. Okay, I think I'm good. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
When you came in the last time, I think it was was it 20,
2 or 3 years ago, 3 or 4
Whatever,
years ago.
yeah. At any point before that or at that point, did you ask for that variation?
For the
For
parking?
the height?
No, because we didn't need it at that point.
Okay, I sort of remember back that.
It might have been at that
For height.
3 or 4 years ago, part of that building addition, which is on the north side here.
Yeah,
We have 4 new cement silos outside. Those are like 70 feet high. That may have been a discussion or a question about the height of those, but it's not part of the building.
okay. All right, now I just sort of remember,
Yeah.
and it wouldn't have been last 3 or 4 years, it would have been before that, you know, a request for a variation, but that could have been some other Unilock, I don't know.
Well, this was Pavlock, remember? Unilock bought this building
Oh, that's
10 years
right.
ago? 2011.
Okay, that's probably what it was.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think they were in 2012 or something, thereabouts.
Yeah,
Yeah, and Unilock probably came in around then
yeah,
to
Okay.
probably reclassify it into their name, maybe the CUP, and extend it or something. I was not part of that.
all right. So within the staff report, you have the staff report?
Yes.
Okay. You responded in writing to the standards for conditional use and also for the standards for a variation. Will you be okay with taking those comments in writing into the record as your response to that?
Yes,
So you're saying that you did meet the standards for both?
correct.
Okay. Okay, I think that's all I have. So we will go on to, Anna, do you have any questions?
So, one of the board members contacted me a week or 2 ago and asked if the fire department had been notified. They had been notified. The concern was whether their equipment could service the height of the silo. So would you respond to that?
Steve Ackerlon, I did contact the Marengo Fire Department. I spoke with Fire Chief Assistant Greg Pleva. Typically what happens on most calls is the Hampshire Fire Department is called. They have a 90-foot ladder extension they can use for taller buildings.
And I think the same police employee mentioned, like even downtown Marengo has a BMO bank that's taller. So it's not just us. And keep in mind, the building we're doing is all metal, and it's all metal inside. And aggregate, so nothing really should burn.
Excuse me.
Gotta get it really hot to burn.
Yeah.
Anna, are you done with your questions?
I'm done with my questions.
Okay.
I'd just like to follow up, and you have certain industry and operational standards that deal with those buildings and the persons and the responses for those buildings, independent of what may be imposed.
And nice setup, because we do their plants all across the US. And in the International Building Code, there's a section that talks about fire sprinklers for buildings. We don't have any buildings that are new that are fire sprinklered. There's a section in the code that talks about high and unusual uses for non-flammable products being manufactured, and making concrete is one of them. So, although it might exceed the height of the local fire department, it's not even required to be sprinklered by IBC.
And just one more, and the water pressure system that you have available in there far exceeds what a fire department may come upon, even upon a commercial building like a local bank or a...
What would they do with it? I'm sorry.
The availability of the water pressure coming out of your well and your distribution system.
I don't think they would ever use that for firefighting, no.
In your system, they would bring the water?
They had to bring a truck out, right?
All right.
Definitely, yep.
I'm done, thank you, sorry.
Okay,
If I can add one more?
Sure.
In the packet today, there was conditions to support the uses, I think. The future land management, the following conditions which are currently imposed upon the property. Obviously, we would comply with all those, just for the record, I guess.
okay. Anna, can you give us your staff report, please?
Certainly, okay. So I'm showing the blow-up of the site plan, just to clarify a little bit of the history here. So in the 2020 amendment, the new addition was proposed and built here. There had been employee parking along this area. And at that time, they were allowed to move their employee parking down to this southern area down here. As been noted, that parking was not utilized and had been used. Let's see if I can get it to blow up here. With the pallets or whatever this material is that is, not gonna let me do the zoom in laser at the same time, but there's some pallets that were back there at least on March 1st and prior to that. Because I had the pleasure of driving up and down Route 23 on a daily basis, I am well aware that employees for months were parking in the drive aisles going around, which can provide a safety concern, especially if you need to get emergency vehicles back in there, in that front part there. We requested that this area up in the south end be cleaned up and actually be used for the parking as per their original 2020 plan. To help compensate, they are also providing 8 additional parking spaces that will be in front and to the west of the main parking area in the front there. This property is zoned agricultural. It is a use has been established here for many years. I'll take your word that it started back in the 1990s. There have been no violations that I am aware of other than complying with that parking area as part of the conditional use there. Future land use continues to show this as a industrial area, and that is consistent with the city of Marengo's plans as well. With the conditions that were previously imposed, updating so that it will match the site plan that's presented today. Staff has no concerns with moving this forward.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody have questions for staff?
Yes.
Go ahead.
So you said the site is zoned agricultural, not industrial, or,
That is correct.
and that it has been used for industrial purposes since the 90s?
Yes, because at the time, the zoning code that was in place at the time was much more lax. Today's Unified Development Ordinance, you can only use those conditional uses that are specifically specified within that district. At that time, any conditional use could have been applied for in any district, basically what it amounted to.
So they wouldn't have to keep coming back for conditional use permits if they rezone to industrial?
Probably not.
Okay.
We may take note of that.
That's all I had, thank you.
Okay.
It'd be nice if you were next to Marengo at the same time.
And if it's, I don't know if there's adjacency yet.
It
It
is
is.
right across the street.
Right
Across.
across.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
guessing if the water and sewer come, that would probably be the time it gets done.
I neglected to ask if anybody in the back had any questions for the petitioners. Does anybody back there have any questions?
I do.
Okay, please state your name and your address and ask your question.
My name is Bruce Pelishak. I live at 21810 Pleasant Grove Road, Marengo, approximately a half a mile from the facility as the crow flies. I think I can address my questions to Mr. Russo since he probably has most knowledge of the operation. Mr. Russo, how long have you been employed by Unilock?
John Russo, coming up in 25 years in September.
Could you please try and keep your questions for the testimony that was given?
Okay.
Thank you.
What products are manufactured at the Marengo Unilock plant?
Oh, there's a wide range of different products we make there. You want me to go through every product we make? But the majority, we don't make, the majority of our products are pavers.
Okay, brick pavers. How many North American Unilock brick paver factories are there?
Ooh, 6 right now?
6. Okay.
This is, yeah, six sites, but multiple plants.
Yeah, there's,
Okay. And these are also brick paver factories?
yes.
Okay. This is quite a capital intensive project, isn't it?
What we're doing now?
The whole thing. The whole process, all the equipment, the machinery, the products, it's pretty capital intensive, isn't it?
Not of what they're doing today, no.
No? Okay. Can you describe the complete brick paver manufacture cycle?
Sir,
Yes.
could you please keep your questions to the testimony that's been given? In other words, the additions that they want to put on and the variation that they're asking for.
So when can I ask about the noise this plant makes?
If you would like to hold off until after this portion, we will have a time when
Comments?
the public can make comments. And it sounds to me like your questions are kind of pointed toward comments. So you might want to wait until that point, and you'll have 3 minutes to make your comments at that point, and I'll let you know when that is.
So I have a couple more questions that are relative to testimony giving, particularly complaints. Is there policies and procedures in place at Unilock to address public concerns?
Like I said, we haven't had any, but I know for a fact if somebody were to complain, we would be all over it. I mean, it's just the type of company we are. We don't want to be bad neighbors to anybody.
And who would that point of contact be?
Either it would start with me, and then you could go up the chain, of course. I'm a senior person on the site.
Okay. Relative to other plants, consistent with this one, and that's testimony, I believe, when we're talking about the process. Are they also allowed 24 operation, as is this one?
Yes.
Okay.
Let me point out too that if you do have specific complaints about any neighboring areas, you can always come to planning and development and let them know your concerns.
Okay. I guess at this point, I can't point out my concern because this is the questioning phase, correct?
Right.
Okay. There's a modification, so gotta reframe this then. Can I ask about machinery that makes noise now? What type it is?
Just ask that question, and then we'll cut it.
What machine is it at the plant that makes the loud, pulsating, vibrating noise 24 hours a day?
With respect to the new work, there's nothing with more noise.
Nothing with more noise. Okay.
Okay,
So you know now that the noise will not increase.
okay.
Okay. All right. And now you have 3 minutes to make a comment.
Okay.
And please state your name and address again.
Bruce Pelishak, 21810 Pleasant Grove Road. Comments. I thank you all a lot for allowing me to speak representing my community. This is an odd time of day for people at work. Don't see a lot of people here, but there are people that have concerns. We do not want to impede progress, but expect to attain what we pay a premium for living in the country. We believe that the board's intentions are to balance businesses' needs with residents' needs. Noise and other effects are detrimental to residents' quality of life, health, welfare, and property values supported by expert testimony. There are valid reasons why some conditional use permits have limited hours of operation. It is already zoned ag. The noises coming from there are not consistent with agriculture. I don't think this is an appropriate zoning application for a industrial use to fall under the umbrella of ag, especially with this amount of noise that comes. The prior operator, Pavelock, was limited to hours of operation in their conditional use permit, and they adhered to it. Neighbors were good with that. There are 3 adjacent gravel pits and 1 asphalt plant, 1 concrete plant that all adhere to conditional use permit hours of operation. I don't know what their zoning is, but they do adhere to those. That's acceptable to the community. But imagine trying to sleep on a spring or a fall day with your windows open and hearing beep, 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 beep all night long. And this loud pulsating vibration from this machine that I believe it's probably a compressor. It can be attenuated. There's technology out there. So I'd like to suggest solutions compatible in our environment and community. Allow the 24-hour operations only if noise is not emitted beyond the property line. Compel Interlock to employ equipment to minimize noise during daytime business hours. It seems that some of the noisiest operation is not done during business hours. It's assigned to night work. This would be consistent with adjacent industries too. Those gravel pits, you don't hear them at nighttime. Across the street at Super 8, that was the latest conditional use permit, I believe, of the city of Marengo. He had attested that there will be no new noise and the existing noise will be minimized with state-of-the-art equipment. I expect that we should have the same application here because the noise, if you were ever out there at nighttime and you stood maybe 2 miles away, you'll hear this machine that vibrates. It's not a consistent vibration, it's a pulsation, okay? I request to maintain a point of contact for Unilock to address residents' concerns. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Can we ask a question or no?
Yes.
How do you spell your last name, just so I have it right?
P-E-L-E-S-C-H-A-K.
And when did you move there?
20, I don't know how that's relative.
Just asking.
I think it's 98,
Okay,
97.
that's all I had, thanks.
Is it reasonable to limit the hours of operation or the noisy operation for the company?
If the, cut me off if you want. The noise he's talking about, the backup alarms, or the,
No.
No, he's talking about a pulsing noise.
Mr. Russo, can you explain what that noise is?
You said the beeping?
No, not the beeping, the pulsating vibration. Every 30 seconds, it makes a 5-second, very loud, low-frequency vibration.
Yeah, it's a vibration. That's how we produce our product. I mean, the beeping, we could work on that, right? We could put shut-offs and alarms, right? So you don't have to, them are coming from the forklift, so we could turn that off. There's things we could do to work on this, absolutely.
And
I'm just a little concerned that nobody has contacted me in the 10+ years we've been here until now.
well, your hours of operation was changed the last condition, excuse me, in the changeover from pave lock to Unilock. And we were fine when it was shut down at 10 p.m. So now it's 24 hours. And it's just not reasonable. There's reasons that there's hours of operation in the adjacent conditional use permits. The gravel pits all have them. They're noisy in the daytime. People expect that. But when we moved there in 97 or 98, we had pave lock that had hours of operation. We just expected the same consistency. Kind of like when you move next to an airport, you know what to expect. Noise, except at night. But we just expect the same operation, or we don't want to impede your progress. You know, when you're heating the plant, you're probably going to increase production in the wintertime. So all we're asking is that you apply current technology to minimize or eliminate, is the best, that noise from the press.
Mr. Russo, are you saying that that is something that can be done?
I'm saying that we could look into it. I can't answer whether we can eliminate that.
And I'm quite surprised you can hear the press 2 miles away.
Oh, please come out.
You know, we've got
I
Aurora,
I'm
Illinois, we've
shocked.
got houses across the street that
I
don't comply.
have guys
Oh,
that live.
All right, one person at a
Right.
time, we're recording.
Sorry.
Okay. All
Fine,
right.
we heard the comments, I think we can.
Okay, well, we're gonna move on from there. Okay, do you have a closing statement?
No, I guess from my standpoint, we hope that you'll accept the proposal be in front of us. Going forward, if we have concerns from neighbors that actually put them in writing or address them or go right to Unilock, we will take care of them the best we can. Like I mentioned, to hear that vibration 2 miles away seems very crazy. We've got properties where there's literally houses 300-400 feet away and they don't complain. So doesn't mean that they don't hear it, but they're not complaining. But Unilock in general will address any complaints they have. And there's been a conditional use hearing on this 3 years ago that was never brought up either. So it's not like we're avoiding it or he's been repeatedly trying to get a noise concern addressed. When it does come up, it will be addressed.
Okay. Okay, Anna, does it seem unusual that there's no hours of operation or anything like that on this?
Each conditional use is unique in how it is developed and processed. I was not here for the previous iteration. I do not know why condition hours of operation were not addressed, or if they were addressed, they could have been addressed and determined that 24 hours was reasonable.
I was here for that one, and there were no public comments, there were no complaints. So I am surprised to hear this.
And also, without looking back at the old ordinance, there may have been no hours of operation. I'm not sure. I'm not saying they're not telling the truth, but it would be something to check into.
Well, we have no hours of
Right.
operation for this.
I'm talking about the prior one. There may,
Even for the prior one, we
there
don't.
may, we did not?
It would be on those conditions.
Oh, okay.
So, right?
The conditions that I have brought forth today are the ones that were applied for the 2020 conditional use permit. I did not go back further in time to see what those conditions were.
And I believe at 2020, we did not ask for any change of hours. It was really just for the additions. Right.
I don't believe hours were brought up at all.
Correct.
I didn't realize at that
Yeah,
time that it
and,
was an issue, did you know?
To the best of my memory, it wasn't brought up in 2012 either.
Yeah,
So
And I do know that backup alarms on the forklifts,
yeah,
we do, not we, I've heard those complaints from, not from the site, from other places. And like Mr. Russo mentioned, they can take care of that or assist in that.
yeah,
yeah. I think that at least would be a very good idea.
yeah.
Because I sure wouldn't want to hear that all night. Okay, so at this point then, I will close the hearing portion of this, of the testimony portion of this hearing, and we will move on to the voting portion. We do have 7, so we have a full board. We will vote today. Unless for some reason you would like to continue.
We have no reason to.
Okay. Okay, so I'm going to open the voting portion of the meeting. We have okay, this is application 2023-048 at 8302 South Illinois Route 23 in Marengo for Unilock Chicago Incorporated. It's an amendment for a conditional use permit 2020-42 to allow for 2 buildings with a height variation of 56 feet for the main building, and also for a variation, with a height variation of 56 feet for the main building. Okay, so we have 2 issues. Do we want to vote on these together, or do we want to do separate votes?
Together. I support ability to move them together.
Together.
Formally.
Okay. In that case, I'll entertain a motion for the approval.
So moved. We should, the conditions.
Oh, the conditions. Totally missed the conditions, and that was like really important.
No.
Here,
Thanks. I have them here somewhere. Okay. And as Anna said, these are pretty much carried over from the previous
Correct.
approval. Okay. Number 1, the conditional use permit shall expire September 18th, 2042. Number 2, development on the site shall be in substantial conformance with the plan prepared by HR Green, originally prepared on January 6th, 2021, with a revision date of January 3rd, 2024, as noted by DDCA. External storage shall be located in the side and rear yards not visible to the road by screening in accordance with section 308.3 of the 2000 McHenry County zoning ordinance, and limited to A, finished products, B, resale sand in plastic bags, C, molds made of steel, D, plastic edging resale product, E, production pallets made of plastic and steel, F, shipping pallets made of wood, G, steel rack for mold storage and steel stock for maintenance, H, empty totes, plastic totes that once contained water, the admixture used in concrete manufacturing, and I, materials stored in bins. 4, all uses shall conform to the requirements governing the emission of noise, vibration, smoke, and particulate matter, water or other effluents, toxic or noxious matter, fire, glare, heat or radiation, solid waste, and wastewater as cited in the Environmental Protection Act 415 ILCS 5/1 at sec as amended. At the time of construction of the future post-manufacturing processing building, a health inspection of the PIQ must be conducted. Number 6, all other federal, state, and local laws shall be met. Are there any additional or any comments on these conditions?
I move adoption of the conditions as presented.
I'll second that motion.
Would anyone like to make a condition to limit the noise from backup trucks beeping after a certain hour? Guess not. Okay. In that case, I'll call the roll. Where is it?
We had pulled it out for you,
Oh, you did?
yes.
Is it underneath?
Had to hit it.
Got it.
Whoa.
Okay. Okay, Mr. Eldridge.
Yes.
Okay, and this is for conditions. Mr. Cozen,
Yes.
Mr. Schnabel,
Yes?
Ms. Beverly,
Yes.
Mr. Jers,
Yes.
Ms. Downer,
Yes.
and I'll vote yes.
Madam Chairman, I move acceptance of the petition subject to the conditions.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, discussion, Mr. Eldridge?
Yes, this is a conditional use for Uniloc, which has been located on this particular parcel south of Marengo on the west side of Illinois 23 for 30-plus years. I think, has generally been a good neighbor, a clean operation, according to staff, other than quite recently a request that they clean up some materials that were put in a location they shouldn't have been put. There have been no complaints against it. Since I've sat on the board, we've renewed their conditional use or modified it twice. It has been a very productive business for McHenry County. I take under advisement the gentleman from the public's comment that the agricultural zoning is perhaps inappropriate for this location, but that's really an artifact of the way zoning was done 30-plus years ago when this plant was first put in place. And I suspect the next actual change in the zoning will occur upon annexation to the city of Marengo, to which it is now contiguous. I believe all the standards for amendment to the conditional use have been met. I would urge petitioner to work with any complaints, verbal or written, from this gentleman or anyone else in the community to attenuate noise to the extent possible. But since there is no change in their operation being caused by this, I think that the comments of the gentleman, while well taken, are simply not relevant to this particular request. I believe that all the standards have been met and that this is an appropriate action, and I support the petition.
Thank you. Ms. Downer?
No comment.
Did you want me to come back to you?
I'm sorry?
Do you want me to come back to you?
No,
Okay.
I'm good.
Mr. Coulson?
Thank you. The applicant has presented a substantial record for which we rest our decision, especially mine. I note that it is so complete that it was both the variation and the conditional use. There still remains, despite whatever action this board may take, avenues to address and do not relieve the applicant from going forward in the future. And to those, Eddie can pursue whether or not there's a matter before the Zoning Board of Appeals. For that, I'll be supporting this petition.
Thank you. Mr. Schnabel?
I'll just say that I agree with everything previously said.
I have no comments.
Mr. Jers?
I will agree with everything that's been said, and I would like to add that Riley Township Mr. Schnabel's home township is not a real busy corner of McHenry County with a lot of businesses. This is a company that's got at least 24 jobs down there. And they probably are the largest employer in Riley Township.
Probably.
Probably. There's not a lot going on down there, and I encourage what they're doing.
Thank you. And I would say that Unilock has been an important part of McHenry County for a long time. We don't want to lose that business. I would encourage you to, take any complaints very seriously and work with your neighbors. I know you want to be good neighbors. I know that you do. You have been all along. And to do what you can to, make the peace. This is, as Mr. Eldridge said, all the standards have been met, and I believe this is a normal and good progression of this company. I'm glad to see it growing. I'll be in favor. Okay.
Isn't so?
Oh, okay. All right. So we will vote by roll. Mr. Eldridge?
Yes.
Mr. Cozen?
Yes?
Oh, I can't see these lines. Mr. Schnabel?
Yes.
Ms. Beverly?
Yes.
Mr. Jers?
Yes.
Ms. Donner?
Yes.
And I will vote yes. This will go to the county board for approval or denial. It would be next.
April.
In April. Okay, meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.
I just want to remind everybody to turn in your SE